IP is dying. Well, not exactly. IP is changing, though, as recent box office trends have shown us that the MCU is not an invulnerable juggernaut, and superheroes and big budget nostalgia are no longer guarantees of a quick buck for major studios. Just last year, the Marvels represented a new low for Marvel Studios. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny proved to be a major bomb for Disney, and Star Wars continued to face diminishing returns on Disney Plus with a hit-or-miss stream of missable shows continuing to oversaturate the franchise, and/or reportedly innocent. Elsewhere, Fast X underperformed, Transformers underwhelmed, and yet from the ashes of legacy IPs struggling to maintain their stranglehold on the market, one franchise seems poised to maintain its stature. Welcome back to Tris Talks Movies, and today we're talking about how Planet of the Apes is winning the IP wars. To start, let's cut back to 2011 with the release of a new beginning for the Planet of the Apes franchise, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This is classic early 2010s blockbuster stuff. Something about the look and feel and attitude of the film, complete with questionable accents and snarky side characters and crazy businessmen in charge of ethically dubious science programs, adds up to this perfect amalgamation of what you'd expect a blockbuster from this area to resemble. Going back and watching it was actually pretty fun because of this. It's crazy getting such a clear picture of how blockbusters like this have changed over the years. But anyways, what's important isn't how perfectly 2011 the film is, it's that whether because of or in spite of these things, it's a great film. Within this exterior of 2011-ness is a genuinely touching and fascinating story of an ape, Caesar, suddenly blessed or perhaps cursed, but nonetheless enlightened by a new medically granted intelligence. As the film goes on, he begins to understand his species' subhuman place in the world and fights to gain independence, freedom, and family for himself and his fellow apes. It's an almost biblical tale full of deeply powerful moments in which Caesar breaks from his shackles and fights for his people. Through establishing such powerful, compelling characters, it is also the perfect way to start a franchise. The perfect place to revive this IP for the new generation of moviegoers. And better yet, it made money, quite a bit of it. $481.8 million at the worldwide box office against a $93 million budget. Even if we factor in, say, a guesstimated $80 million marketing budget and have the theatrical profits for the cut that exhibitors get, we're looking at an estimated $67.9 million in profits. Not bad, and that's before ancillary revenue streams. In other words, the film was a hit, and Fox quickly realized they had a very promising new start for the Planet of the Apes IP. Now they just had to play their cards right and watch it grow. And play their cards right they did. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes released 3 years later, 2014, under the new direction of Matt Reeves, who later went on to direct The Batman. With a healthy gap between movies, audiences were welcomed back into the lives the now liberated apes have built for themselves under the guidance of Caesar. Right off the bat, this is a much more tonally serious and dramatic movie, also with a bit more emphasis on action. In almost all ways, it's a bigger film than its predecessor. Obviously, the increase in scale makes sense as the sequel to a profitable film, but what's absolutely key in Dawn's successful continuation of the franchise isn't so much that it's bigger, it's that it's even better. Everything gets leveled up from Rise. The scope, the scale, the score, the visuals, the drama. Fox and Reeves did everything they needed to with this film to ensure the franchise's newfound success wouldn't just be a one-time thing. Dawn's success won the audience's trust that these new Planet of the Apes films would deliver, and audiences repaid that trust by once again lining the pockets of all involved. $710.6 million worldwide off a $170 million budget. This was proper proof that this franchise can deliver big results when handled correctly. Now, between these films, some other big 2010s mega franchises were beginning to really solidify their dominance. In 2012, just after Rise's success and before Dawn would enter the marketplace, the Avengers released to a $1.5 billion box office haul, a number that makes Rise and Dawn's success look like nothing. Likewise, in 2015, after Dawn's release, Star Wars The Force Awakens opened to $2.07 billion worldwide. Clearly, these mega blockbusters were completely dwarfing the numbers put up by the Apes, and yet if you've seen the thumbnail to this video, you know that I think the Planet of the Apes franchise is currently in a better spot than either of these IPs in the present-day marketplace, at least depending on what metrics we're looking at this from. Why is that? Well, first let's end this quick detour and talk about the next film in the franchise, War. In 2017, another 3 years after the last entry, War for the Planet of the Apes capped off the new Apes trilogy with what almost feels like the grand ending of a Shakespearean history. We realize that Caesar's true arc across the course of these films has been his journey of becoming more and more human, whether he wants to or not. And in War, we see this manifest in anger, in revenge, in sacrifice, all while the remaining humans become more and more like apes. It's a film that tragically forces us to reflect on what hyperintelligence provides a species. The apes didn't ask for this. They have been unwillingly burdened with what we call humanity, and thus the sin that accompanies it. And I love this film. It's a great way to end this trilogy, and it provides a fitting, emotional end to Caesar's story. And this is how you make IPs last. You provide a full story, a fitting end, something that can satisfy an audience's engagement without dragging them along until they wonder if an end will ever really come. There's no, but wait, there's more. This is it. This is the story. And that's why it works. And that's why it made a highly respectable $490.7 million worldwide off a $150 million budget. Lower than Dawn, but that's just more proof that the trilogy ended at the right moment, before the audience was desperate to leave, but also right when they were ready to let go. Looking at the trilogy as a whole, why did it work? 3 key factors: quality control, budget control, and healthy spacing. All 3 films were great. 82%, 91%, and 94% on Rotten Tomatoes respectively. All of them were made with reasonable budgets. $93 million for Rise was a smart move while they tested the waters of the IP's viability in a present-day marketplace, while the higher budgets for Dawn and War capitalized, within reason, on the goodwill built by Rise's success. And each film had a 3-year gap between them to ensure not only that the filmmakers had time to maintain quality, but that the audience had time to build up excitement for the next one without being oversaturated by the IP. Compare these points to what we've seen from other major IPs since War's release. I mentioned the Avengers earlier. We all know the MCU was one of the biggest IPs on the planet for much of the last 15 years, but I don't think anyone would argue that it's lost a lot of its luster. What's gone wrong? To start, the MCU released 9 projects in 2021. That's too much. Where is the spacing? It was one thing to have 2 or 3 movies a year around phases 1, 2, and 3, with the quality feeling consistent enough and enough variety between the films. It wasn't really an issue for most audiences. But 9 projects, 5 of which were full TV shows in 1 year, no wonder people started getting burnt out. Worse, they started stretching themselves so thin that the quality dipped, and we ended up with an insanely budgeted $326.6 million Ant-Man film with a 46% on Rotten Tomatoes. If this isn't textbook of what not to do, I don't know what is. And it's not just the MCU. After a successful reboot with The Force Awakens, Star Wars has oversaturated itself with Disney Plus and inconsistent quality control, and Indiana Jones' grand comeback flopped hard after amassing a $387.2 million budget. COVID didn't help, but the budget shouldn't have been anywhere near that number given what I said earlier about Rise's budget. Keep it low while you test the IP's present-day viability. In other words, while Planet of the Apes rose to a franchise high of audience respect throughout the recent trilogy, Marvel, Star Wars, and other major IPs are on shaky footing for as long as they continue breaking these principles. And what about Kingdom? I know I said war was the end of the new Planet of the Apes story and that the franchise let audiences go when the time was right, but I promise I haven't forgotten about the newest installment in the series. I just think the execution of this new film is so smart that I had to save it for the end. What I love about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, before even watching the film, is that it doesn't pretend to be a direct continuation of Caesar's trilogy. I don't doubt his story plays a role, but don't be mistaken, this is a new beginning for the IP. Rather than trudging up the past, the franchise is looking forward several hundred years and giving audiences a fresh journey to latch onto. It makes perfect sense. The producers let the trilogy end, waited a good 7 years to come up with a new direction and give audiences time to engage with the ending before getting excited for more. And rather than breaking our trust by attempting to pick up where we left off as if the story didn't end there, they're giving us something entirely different. And that's great. It's refreshing, honestly. Imagine if Star Wars left the Skywalkers alone and gave us a completely new story 300 years after with no returning characters, but that intelligently finds ways to deal with the long-term effects of what came before. I wish we lived in a world where that's how that franchise was handled, but we don't. The Mandalorian came close. I loved how disconnected season 1 was from the existing stories and characters, but now it just feels like another homogenous part of the IP. The producers behind Planet of the Apes have been smart enough to keep an ear to the ground regarding these issues plaguing other IPs in the new decade, and they have smartly executed on a plan that avoids pitfalls that even Kevin Feige has become prone to. This is how the Apes win, and I couldn't be happier that there's at least one IP out there that knows how to maintain its longevity. Now there's only one question left to see if Planet of the Apes will truly maintain its stature in the IP wars. Is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes actually good?
It kinda kicked ass. I thought it was great. Definitely on par with the last three. I don't know. I thought it was really, what did you think?
I think I kind of like it better than the original reboot trilogy. Not all of them, not all of them.
Yeah.
I will say, don't come for me.
What was your favorite of the last three?
I don't know. I was still like thinking about that, but I do think this one might be better than, like, it might be my favorite. Maybe it might be recency bias, but
okay. You heard it, people. It's the
So,
best one.
Ran the train away. But I don't know. It was just like, I think I also watched 2 of the previous movies on the Discord.
That's
so
true.
Watching it on IMAX definitely did help.
Okay. I am kind of in a similar mindset. I hate filming in public, but okay. Similar mindset. I think I really like. I thought it was really good. I thought the first act was incredible.
Oh my god.
That was like peak Planet of the Apes. Which honestly was impressive for a first act, because I feel like usually movies get off to a slow start, but that was kind of just like tippy top right at the beginning, which was great. And it kind of held up throughout. The last act was great. Oh, we're stopping. We're chilling here. Okay.
Now they know exactly where we are.
I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts. It was great. It lived up. Agree.
I really hope I said yes there. But regardless, I think Caesar's Apes trilogy is a textbook example of good IP management, and I'm impressed by the decisions made regarding this new Apes trilogy. Hopefully the success lasts, but based on the trailers and box office projections for this weekend, I'm feeling optimistic. Thank you for watching. This was a fun video for me to make. I genuinely really love these films, and it was exciting to be able to rewatch and talk about them before the new one comes out. Please, if you liked the video, I really appreciate liking, subscribing, commenting. Really anything is a huge help, genuinely, in helping these videos get seen and helping the channel grow. And with that, thank you for watching, and I'm gonna shut up now.